All right, good afternoon and welcome to the post-game press conference for the inaugural Sun Belt Football Championship game between the Appalachian State Mountaineers and the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Now the format for today's press conference is as follows. First, we'll have Louisiana and then Appalachian State in that order. For each team, we'll have the head coach and selected student athletes on the dais. Now, we'll start each press conference with an opening statement from the head coach, and then we'll go to questions for the student athletes only before we proceed with questions for the head coach. Please make sure to set your phones and other devices to silence at this time as not to distract our interview sessions. If you are recording this press conference with anything bigger than a small handheld, please find a place in the back of the room to record. We thank you for your cooperation with this. We have a wireless mic for the media members in attendance to ask questions, so please raise your hand if you have a question to ask and we'll get you the mic. Now before you start asking your question, please indicate your name and media affiliation first and then ask your questions. We are joined now by Louisiana and head coach Billy Napier and student athletes Raymond Kale and Trey Ravis. Coach, please start us off with an opening statement, and then we'll go to questions for you and your student athletes. Coach?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Coach Satterfield and his football team and staff on winning the championship. Certainly today was a great competition, a very competitive game. You got to give those guys respect in terms of the execution. They found a way to win. But I'm extremely proud of our football team and our staff and the way we competed in the game. I think this is a football team that showed tremendous growth, not only as a football team, but I think as individual people. I think we've learned a lot about life. I think this game can teach you a lot about life, and I hope that our players will learn a lot from this experience. We're excited about the opportunity to go play one more football game 2 weeks from today in the Auto Nation Cure Bowl. It certainly is a unique bowl for a unique cause, and it'll be a tremendous experience for our players. And it's one that they've earned, and our staff has earned through a lot of hard work and discipline. But certainly today was a great experience for our players, and we're pleased with the progress that we made as a football team. But today was just a good old-fashioned football game, man. It came down to the things that most football games come down to: turnovers, explosive plays, execution, and I think there's lots that we can learn from as a staff and as football players individually and collectively.
All right, now at this time, if you have any questions for the student athletes only, please make sure you raise your hand. We'll make sure we'll get you a mic, and please remember to indicate your name and affiliation before asking your question.
Tim Buckley with the Advertiser in Lafayette. Trey, the things that broke down, like Coach said, turnovers and some of those penalties especially, how costly were those, and what was going on some of those, especially the series there with several penalties?
It just came down to little things. We didn't execute when it was needed. We didn't lock in and focus in on our assignment, and we just we let them know what's get to us.
David Rogers, Blowing Rock News. Raymond, you had some success today in your kickoff returns. What were you seeing that allowed you to be so successful?
We saw our special teams coordinator, Coach Potter, saw some weaknesses in their kickoff unit. So, we wanted to take advantage of that, and that's what we did.
Trey, how much do you think having to settle for the field goals that you did kind of complicate things for you guys, especially if you're trying to play catch up?
It made it harder for us to come back and gain the lead. We just had to, we just got to get to the red zone and score points.
Raymond, what did you guys see on film during the week that helped you pop those?
We knew that they were a 5x5 kickoff unit, and whenever they would go 5x5, our guys, it was mainly just matchups. We could win our one-on-ones, take advantage. Coach Pollard just told me to hit the hole hard and try to finish.
For both of you guys, can you put into perspective what it means having played in this game and now to get to go to Orlando and play in a bowl, especially after the way you guys started the season? What does that mean to you?
To play in the first ever Sun Belt championship game, it's a huge honor for not only our coaches but for us. At the beginning of the season, it was kind of rocky for us, but we kept on fighting. We kept our head down. We kept on working. We got here today, but we didn't come up with the victory, but we do have another game for our seniors, to go be able to play in the Cure Bowl in Orlando, and that's a huge honor, and we have to prepare these next 2 weeks to take advantage and get the dub.
I mean, we came a long way from a new coaching staff, putting our trust in them, and for them to put their trust in us to come out and perform the way we did. We had a lot of setbacks this season, but we overcame them. We still made it to the championship, even though it didn't work out the way how we thought. For the seniors and me and Lafa and them to have another game, it's get another chance to still get a ring.
Okay, just one last one. Trey, as you kind of look ahead right now, with what you guys were able to do on offense against them, 300 yards total offense, scored more points than they've been giving up all season. What sort of confidence does that give you at this point, the 13th game of the season, as you do go into a bowl game?
It's just go back to the coaches, put our faith into the coaches, put our trust in the coaches. Because what they speak about, what they talk about is true. It works, so we just got to keep believing, keep working, and it's going to all fall in place.
Are there any other questions for our student athletes? At this time, fellas, thank you for your time. Let you guys get back to the locker room. Thank you so much.
Good job, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Now, are there any questions for head coach Billy Kennedy?
We were talking about both the turnovers and the penalties. How costly late, and can you break down what went wrong on the interception play when he had to throw into double coverage there?
Yeah, I think had to do a better job preparing the quarterback. I think a couple of the decisions that were made there are things that are very correctable, and I think that that's my job. I coach the quarterbacks, and I think that those were decisions that Andre would love to have back. I do think Andre did a lot of good things today. Certainly has proved to be a very effective quarterback for our team and a great leader for our team. But I think today was evidence that owning the football and attacking the football is the key to the game. And certainly we need to coach a little bit better, be more prepared, and try to prevent those decisions from being made.
How satisfied were you with just the showing of your defense at this point in the season?
There's no question. I mean, there's been lots of days where maybe they were getting criticized, but I think we've got a tremendous staff. And I think we've seen great growth in terms of the ownership, the work ethic, how to prepare. And I think that's one of the reasons that we made progress. I think that's a group that steadily has continued to improve, and very pleased. I mean, today basically kept us in the game, with some great plays throughout the day, some great stops. We were able to get them off the field quite a bit. They gave the ball back to us numerous times, but ultimately, we weren't able to take advantage of those opportunities on offense.
How did the having to settle for the field goals and kind of change the dynamic of things?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, one of the objectives is to score touchdowns in the red area. We've been really good on offense in the red area this season. We've got one of the better offensive groups in the country in the red zone. But today, we did have to settle for field goals, and I think that's a great lesson going forward of how critical it is that you finish with touchdowns down there. And certainly, that was a huge factor in the game.
Got it right, fellas. The perspective question, to have your team be here today, deep down, what does it mean to you? And then kind of looking forward, how do you parlay just getting here to playing in a bowl?
Well, I think the big thing for our football team is that, just in my mind, mid-season, I was very hopeful that at some point we would accomplish something of significance and have success so that these young men would realize the value of hard work, the value of committing to something bigger than yourself. Being a great teammate, committing to doing your job better, getting yourself in position where you can be dependable, accountable. Thought we saw that. We saw great character. We saw great ownership. And this is a group of players and a team that really has grown as people throughout the season. So I think we've done that. I think we accomplished that goal. Even though we didn't win today, I think that our players saw the significance of their work. I think they know the value of hard work and that it pays off. And that's one of the things that's most important to me as a coach. And I get a lot of gratification from that. But I do think that this is a great first step. I do think that as a first-year staff, what we've been able to accomplish thus far has been quite an accomplishment. I think you've got to commend our coaching staff and the leadership on this football team for what we've been able to do. And we're not finished. We've got an opportunity to play another game in 2 weeks, and we look forward to that opportunity to put the ball down and compete.
David Colson, the College Sports Journal. As someone who's experienced the environment here at Kid Brewer Stadium, both as a visiting player and now a couple of times as a coach, how can you speak as far as just the growth of App's program and how they are going about representing themselves now as the champion of the Sun Belt in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got tremendous respect. I think our football team respects Appalachian State, certainly the success that they've been able to sustain. Obviously, as a player, had an opportunity to come up here and play a couple of times, but I told Scott before the game on the field, this is a great place. I think that, and Scott would agree, he's got tremendous leadership at the university level. He made tremendous progress. Their transition from FCS to Group of Five has been one that's been very successful. They've committed to building their program the right way, whether that be in facilities, whether that be resources for their student athletes and players, and certainly in staff. So we've got lots of respect, and certainly, you got to give Scott, the administration here, lots of, credit for what they've done here and what they've accomplished.
Last one from me. How much was Zion's absence felt, especially when Thomas was able to bust some of the runs that he did? And what's his status for the bowl, if at this point?
Well, Zion got injured in practice on Thursday. This is the same injury he had earlier in the season where he missed some time. Been playing with that injury. We were able to stabilize his shoulder and get him ready to play for a number of weeks. And you got to give the kid some credit for the discipline and toughness that he's shown. But certainly Zion's one of our better defensive players. He's just a redshirt freshman, but got a lot of football in front of him. But I think Zion impacts every game he plays in. And I think he'll continue to do that in the future. I think we'll know more next week relative to whether or not he'll be available for the game. Helps that we do have 2 weeks, but that'll be day to day. We'll be able to report on that more next week.
Hi, Steve Bear with Tiger Democrat. You talk about the opening kickoff. Seemed like even though they got touchdown eventually, you seem your defense almost rallied by that. I think that you only gave up 5 yards rushing in the first quarter. Just kind of address both one and then the other, please.
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the things about football, critical part of the game is explosive plays, and certainly that return was a huge part. And it just comes down to simple execution of the kick. You know, it was a poor kick, ball's in the returner, you know, and try to place the ball with better hang time. And ultimately, that was the number one reason we had an issue. I think our defense responded. You know, you go in the locker room at halftime, and it's a 8-point game, I think, at that point. I may be wrong, but in that play, obviously, was the difference in the score. So outside of that one play, we're basically in a 7-6 ball game at that point. So a lot of credit to our defense, not only today, but just in general, the cumulative effect of their work and their investment. A lot of individual people added up to what you saw out there today. That didn't just happen overnight. You know, this is a group that has made tremendous strides throughout the year. Schematically, execution levels improved. Fundamentally, we've improved. We've got a really quality coaching staff that's done a great job with the players.
I noticed you were pooching it the rest of the game. I guess it's an obvious question, but just kind of comment on that. You obviously didn't want that to happen again.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the chess game that's going on out there, you know. I mean, we got them to fair catch the ball near around the 25-yard line probably, you know, 3 or 4 times, which was critical in the game, you know. So, and credit to the specialists for executing the sky kick, and certainly the cover team for being in position to make them fair catch. But, yeah, that's what we do.
Any other questions for Coach at this time? If there are none, we'll thank you all for being here. We'll have Coach Satterfield, student athletes from Appalachian State, here in a moment.
All right, guys. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
You have a sticker on yours? You have a sticker?
Yeah.
Come on, sir, Steve.
You put this on your regular sheet. Where you go? Lucky you. I won't do it. Press secretary, Peter Sandwich. And so he, Sandra also worked in the office, he got all the phone. So they started calling him Lucky here. So,
I heard you try. It's just like, it's not.
Sam, on your side, keep your image. Maybe, you know, pair of sunglasses and socks. Okay. That's a great one. Oh, really?